بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. المرحلة الرابعة قسم اللغة الإنجليزية. سالم محمد حسين بدر. Today we have scope of negation. Scope of negation. Section 7.40. Okay. The last video or the last lecture, as you like, we talked about negation. Okay, and talked about assertive and non-assertive forms. So today I'm gonna talk about negative form and negation, scope of negation, and also focus of negation. Yes. So a negative form may be said. What is scope of negation? Let's understand what is negation. All of us know negation. So what's scope of negation? مدى. Negative form may be said to govern. What does it mean, govern? It means determine the occurrence of a non-assertive form only if the latter, okay, non-assertive, the latter, first, the last, is within the scope of negation. How? Within the scope of negation means within the stretch of language over which the negative meaning operates. Okay, shown here with a horizontal bracket. We'll see this. The scope of negation normally extends from the negative word itself. Negative word, for example, not. Okay, this, no, not. From this word, negative form, negative word, to the end of the clause. Okay, or to the beginning of a final adjunct, adverb, adjunct. This is the scope, either to the end of the sentence, sometimes to the adjunct. The subject and any adjuncts occurring before the predication. Predication, I know we have subject, predicate. Okay, subject, predicate. They are out. شوف, lay outside. Of course, if we have subject, he is not reading. He is not reading. You see here? For example, tomorrow I am not going out. Tomorrow, this is adjunct, adverb. I subject, so what? I'm not. From not, scope of negation. And then for not, we will talk about verbs. Some verbs, what? They are within, and some out of the scope of negation. So subject and adjuncts or adverbs for the not, for negative, they are what? They are outside of scope of negation. You see here the operator, sometimes within and sometimes out. We will see this. There is thus a contrast. We have a contrast. If we put in, we say that sometimes, like here, sometimes this, you see, in an adjunct and subject out. Sometimes if we put adjunct, adverb after verb, after negation, you see this is the scope of negation, kind بالخط horizontal. Subject, adverb, adjunct, didn't speak to him. From not, scope of negation starts from not till the end of the clause. هذا كله scope of negation, كله negation. So I definitely didn't speak to him. Now we have what? Adjunct within the scope. And after not in a scope starts. Okay, so it starts here till the end. You see here? So, is there a difference in meaning? Yes. How? When you say I definitely didn't speak to him, it means what? It is definite that I didn't. شوف, I definitely didn't speak to him. يعني it is definite that I didn't. But here when you say I didn't definitely speak to him, it means it is not definite that I did. You see this example? How it shows the difference in meaning when we put adjunct before or after the scope of negation. You see, this is the scope of negation after not. We will have more examples to understand what is negation. or what is the scope of negation? When adverbial is final, however, these are rules. It may or may not lie outside the scope. Maybe, okay, or may not. So adverb final, may or may not. And of course, depending on the meaning, if you put it out of scope of negation, or if you put it within the scope of negation, the meaning will be different. Here it depends on the focus. Here it depends on you when you are speaking, if you want to focus on an idea. For example, here we have what you see here. I will make it close. You see here, okay, intonation. Usually in exams we capitalize the whole word. كل الكلمة نسويها capitalize. The same here. You see, capitalize the whole word. I wasn't listening all the time. So here we have the focus here. I wasn't listening all the time. What? Fall, rise. سبعة. Fall, rise. I wasn't listening all the time. I wasn't listening all the time. You see? I wasn't listening all the time. I wasn't watching all the time. It means what? I listened none of the time. So I wasn't listening all the time. Scope of negation till this. And not within. Why? Because we have focus here. But if we focused on all, not listening, so we can say I wasn't listening all the time. What? To the end راح يصير. قول الادverb to the end. I wasn't listening all the time. I wasn't listening all the time. Meaning different? Yes, it means I listened some of the time. I wasn't listening all the time. It means I listened some of the time. So here what? Difference in meaning. Why? Because of the focus of negation. Because focus here. See here the difference? I wasn't listening all the time. But when in the second sentence, I wasn't listening all the time. It means some of the time. Some of the time. Yes. If an assertive form is used, it must lie outside the scope. إذا عندنا non-assertive, if we use non-assertive, okay, لازم تكون where? It should be what? Outside the scope. If we have what? Assertive form, it should lie outside the scope. So when you say I didn't listen, so still here scope of negation from not and the verb till to some here. It is what? Assertive form. We talk about what? We talked about assertive forms and non-assertive forms. Some is what? Assertive form. But any is what? Any is what? Is non-assertive form. You see here? So when you say I didn't listen to some of the speakers, so some here is what? Positive, assertive. So you say I listened to some. I didn't listen to some of the speakers. It means I listened to some, and some I didn't listen. But here when stop, then the scope of negation stops here. But when we use any, which is what? Any, which is what? It is non-assertive form. Very good. It is non-assertive form. So when you say I didn't listen, and we have here any, so the scope of negation will what? Will extend till the end of sentence. I didn't listen to any of the speakers. I didn't listen to any of the speakers. It means I listened to now. Yes. As we have seen, the scope of negation sometimes extend into subordinate clause. I didn't know that anyone was coming, etc. Anyone. You see here? Anyone. The same test. We talked about this 7.38. You can check it. You see? Any. The same. Till the end. This sentence is what? Into subordinate clause. Okay? Subordinate clause. You hear that anyone was coming. See here, this is what? The scope of negation. We will talk about what? Focus of negation. What is focus of negation? All of them have the same idea here. The scope and focus of negation. We need to identify not only the scope, okay, but the focus of negation. Focus. From its name, when we focus on a word, Like here, we focus on what? On all, on listening. A special or contrastive nucleus stress falling on a particular part. You see here, intonation or stress on a part of a clause. Okay, that indicates that the contrast meaning implicit in the negation is located at the spot. As I told you, when we capitalize the word, for example, when we put full rise intonation, and also that by implication the rest of the clause can be understood in a positive sense. Yes. For example, here we have three sentences. These three sentences explain what is the focus. When you understand these three sentences, you will understand the focus of negation, and you will understand all sentences. Okay? Here, these three sentences: Harry didn't attack the Labour government. All of them are the same. Harry, didn't, attack, Labour, government. You see? All three sentences are the same. The same words. We don't have any change in any letter. Not only word, any letter. But we have only what? Change in what? In focus, in stress. When we stress a word, the meaning will be changed. You see here? I will repeat this idea. Here we have three sentences. All these three sentences are similar. But when we focus on one word, okay, and the second sentence we focus another word, third sentence another word, the meaning will be different. For example, when we say Harry didn't attack the Labour government. Harry didn't attack the what? The Labour government. It means what? Someone else attacked, but it wasn't Harry. Harry didn't attack. Okay? When you, for example, when you are asked, for example, inside home, someone ate chocolate, and you were asked, did you eat chocolate? Say, I didn't eat the chocolate. I didn't eat the chocolate. It means what? Someone else ate the chocolate. I didn't eat the chocolate. You see here? Second sentence, Harry. Here we have focus on Harry. Harry didn't attack. The focus on the verb, attack. Harry didn't attack the Labour government. And then Harry did something to the Labour government, but didn't attack. He's not the attacker. Okay? I didn't what? I didn't eat the chocolate. I didn't eat the chocolate. I did something سويت شيء أنا مثلا, but not eat the chocolate. I didn't eat the chocolate. I did something else, but not eating the chocolate. Someone else ate the chocolate. You see here? The same idea. You can make so many sentences, but changing the focus, changing the stress, changing the intonation. Okay, when you focus on one word, the meaning will be different. The last sentence, Harry didn't attack the Labour government. Harry didn't attack the Labour government. It means he attacked some government, but it wasn't the Labour one. But it wasn't this. Okay, so focus here on Labour government. The same sentence, my sentence. For example, I told them I didn't eat chocolate. I didn't eat chocolate. I didn't eat chocolate. It means I ate something, but not chocolate. I ate for eight. I ate, for example, dolma. Okay, not chocolate. I didn't what? I didn't eat chocolate. I ate dolma. It means something else to make it simple for you. Yes, so scope and focus are interrelated. They are interlinked with each other, such as that the scope must include the focus. You see here? The scope must what? Include the focus. Include. Yeah, scope of negation. So, here the first sentence from where the scope starts. What do you think? Sentence number 1. From not till the end, or what? From Harry. Good. From Harry. Harry didn't. From the beginning. From the subject. From this, it follows that one way of signaling the extent of the scope is by the position of the focus. Indeed, since the scope of negation is often not otherwise clearly signaled, we can indicate it by where we place the formation for focus. Okay? Yes. So from the focus, you will know the scope. To make it easy, from the focus on words, you can know what the scope of negation. One example of this is when typically the scope of negation is extended to include a subordinate clause of reason with a contrastive fall to rise to emphasize this. Another example here we have the same idea. For example, here, I didn't leave home because I was afraid of my father. Where is the focus here? On home. You see? But the second sentence, the focus is where? On father. And we know that we start from not, usually from not. Here from not till what? Till this. Okay? Because we have here the focus. But here we have till the end. Why the scope of negation to the end? Because the focus is here. So we start from not. Not we start from I. We not only scope of negation my father. No. Usually scope of negation starts from not. From not till whether the end or before the end. Before the end here. Why? Because there is no focus here. Focus on home. You see? So even the meaning will be different here. Because we focus on home, and the second sentence we focus on what? On my father. When we say I didn't leave home because I was afraid of my father, it means because I was afraid of my father, I didn't leave home. You see here, focus. I didn't leave home. I didn't leave home. I stayed at home. It means I didn't leave home because I was afraid of my father. You see here, this is the focus. But in the second sentence, when you say, I didn't leave home because I was afraid of my father. I didn't leave home because I was afraid of my father. It means what? I left home, but it wasn't because I was afraid of my father. Okay? I left home, but it wasn't because I was afraid of my father. In this way. So intonation may be crucial also in marking the extension of the scope backwards, backwards, to include the subject, as I said with Harry, with the sentence Harry here. You see backward, to include the subject. An occasional phenomena found, usually we find it with what? With such items, all, every. You see, all cats don't like water. Don't like water. Water, focus, but in the second sentence we have focus on what? On all. Okay, so the scope of negation starts from all to the end, but here from not to the end. You see, but here where? From all to the end. Why? Because we have focus on the subject, and we said that in this point. Okay, don't forget this point. Scope and focus, I'll repeat it, are interrelated such that how? The scope must include the focus. The scope must include the focus. So the scope here must include what? Focus. So all cats, when I say all cats don't like water. All cats don't like water. It means all cats dislike water. But when you say here, all cats don't like water. All cats don't like water. Not all cats like water. Not all cats like water. Okay? This is the difference. This is as far as scope and focus is concerned. Okay? We go to point 7.42. Yes, I'm thirsty. The negation, we have negation of modal auxiliaries. This is very important. You have to focus on, because we have some points about auxiliaries. Some of them outside of scope of negation. Some are within the scope of negation. Yes. The negation of modal auxiliaries requires some attention. Yes, this is, I said this morning, some attention. How? In which? Why? Why? In which case? In that, here the scope of negation may or may not include the meaning of the auxiliary itself. You see here? Okay, may include or may not include. How? Which cases? We therefore distinguish between auxiliary negation and main verb negation. You see? Difference, two difference. Here we have. For example, auxiliary negation. May not. When may not means, when it means permission, and then within. You see, within the negation. You may not. So, okay? Not from not here. From may. May not. Permission. حالة permission. You say, when you say you may not go swimming, yani you are not allowed swimming. And then may is negated here. May is within the scope of negation. The same here, the meaning is very clear. Allowed here may. Allowed mean what? May. It means may. So you may not go swimming, it means you are not allowed. Cannot or can't in all the senses, all meaning can't within the scope of negation. All meaning. But with may not permission within. You can't be serious. Yani it is impossible. You can't go swimming. Yani you are not allowed. It means you are not allowed to go swimming. واحد يقول when someone says why not from not نبدي scope start scope from not من not خلي scope هسه أنا خليت scope from so if we put scope on this way it means that what can't is out of scope of negation معناته إن هنا مخرج not إن هي out راح تصير you are allowed it means you are allowed so this is wrong you are allowed راح تصير here it means you are not allowed. She can't ride a bicycle. She is not able to ride a bicycle. If we say scope here, it's to the end. She is not able, so she is able. Needn't, you needn't pay that fine. See, within the scope. It needn't always be my fault. You are not obliged. It is necessary. Main verb negation may not when possibility. You see, here we say with permission within. Possibility out. You see here, scope of negation. They may not bother to come if it is wet. So it is possible. You see here, it's possible that they will not bother to come. Will not want all senses. All senses will not out. It will out. You see, don't worry. I won't interfere. It means I'm willing not to interfere. I'm willing not to interfere. واحد يقول خلينا نخلي scope منها. Put scope of negation from this. شو راح يصير meaning it will be what? I'm thirsty. How can I drink water? Yes. It will be what? I won't interfere. If we put the scope from will till the end, it will be what? It will, I am not willing. I am not willing to interfere. I am not, but here I'm willing not to interfere. The same here. He won't do what he's told. He insists on not doing. They won't have arrived yet. I predict that they haven't arrived yet. Okay. لكن إذا خلينا هنا راح يصير I don't predict. I don't predict they have arrived. لكن I predict. Shall, shan't, shall not, shan't, all cases, all senses. The same idea here repeated. Would, must, mustn't, obligation. You see here. Out, not. The same thing. You mustn't keep us all waiting. You mustn't keep us waiting. You see? Out. From not till the end. Yani you will oblige me by not keeping. You will oblige me by not keeping. Here we have comparison. Certain auxiliaries can need follow the pattern of auxiliary negation. And then the two patterns can auxiliary negation and main verb negation. So can and need follow the pattern of auxiliary negation while others will, shall, must, this is summary, follow that of main verb negation, may belongs to the former group in its permission sense, but to the latter group in the sense of possibility. We talked about this. Mustn't is not used at all and must not, only rarely, in the necessity sense. Instead, we can use can't in the sense of impossibility. Thus, the negation of you must be telling lies is you can't be telling lies. A common auxiliary negation of must is needn't, which has the two meanings of non-obligation and necessity. Must we pack now? No, we needn't tell tomorrow. See? Because of the diametric opposition of meaning between permission and obligation, an odd seeming equivalence exists between may not, non-permission, and must not obligation. Here the same idea. You may not go swimming. You mustn't go swimming today. Okay. On the whole, the past tense shouldn't follow the same pattern. So the same thing. If we have past tense, and I'm gonna may not, might not, cannot, could not, will not, would not. The same. Follow the same negative pattern. Okay. The same thing. Then we have, yes, we arrive this statement, questions, commands. Yes, we finish with this today. If you have any questions, if you don't understand any point, okay, if you have anything, any suggestion, you can suggest us. You can ask any point. If it is not clear for you, I can explain it to you. Okay, thank you so much and see you maybe this week.